Welcome to Shift Happens, the podcast where we talk about energy, tech, leadership, and large-scale projects, where sometimes, let's be honest, not everything goes according to plan. My name is Manuel.
And my name is Dirk. And together we both talk about topics that we regard as interesting, challenging in the wide world of energy developments. So, hello everyone. Today we have another podcast, but in a quite different format. Manuel is excused today, but I'm welcoming Choeib Boutamine to this podcast. Hello.
Hello.
And today we will talk about Algeria. It's a topic that we have been on and off dealing a little bit in the past, specifically for energy supply. Algeria is one of the larger energy suppliers for Europe. It's a stronghold basically of hydrocarbon production and delivery with several pipelines. And today we want to have a little bit of a glance on what is the role that this country plays today and what the perceptions for the future are. How will this continue? And Choeib, I know him since quite a while. We met actually in Abu Dhabi on conferences. I had the pleasure to attend one of his low carbon conferences in Algiers, which was, I think, the first one in Algeria ever held in that context. And today it's a pleasure for me to welcome him and get his insights, because he is actually quite insightful on the whole matters, also from the Algerian perspective. Yeah, because I had the pleasure to see your appearances on several news outlets, but as well as Gulf Intelligence, a daily podcast from Dubai, basically, that talks mainly about the oil prices every day and all the complications that we face in the world. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to talk to you today. So let's basically dive into it. Yes, Shoaib. So talking about Algeria, it's like a stronghold of energy supply. It supplies a lot of gas to Europe already. It is a very much hydrocarbon dominated country also for its own supply. I mean, the numbers are significantly big. Yeah, so 70% of the domestic gas production is basically domestic energy production is relying on hydrocarbons. It's energy independent in a way, so it has also quite some significant export potential. They have two pipelines going to Europe already, with, I think, 40 BCM per year going through these two pipelines to Italy and Spain. Significant amounts. It's, I think, around 12% of the European gas supply is coming from Algeria. So this is the current state. But how is Algeria handling it at the moment? Is this all the state of the art, the standard, or is there anything in which direction Algeria is developing its balancing of these energy demand and supply into the future in the coming years? How will it handle it?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dirk, for having me and for shedding light on the Algerian production and Algerian potential and kind of hydrocarbons, especially in oil and gas. So talking about development of natural gas in Algeria, Algeria is the largest producer and exporter of natural gas in the African continent. So this is not really, was really a result of more than 6 decades of investment planification and the strategy that has been really shaped by top management of a national oil company, which is Sonatrach. So today, Algeria is playing a pivotal role in the European market. We know what happened, troubles, what happened in the war in Ukraine, or what happened in the Middle East, what's happening now with the Strait of Hormuz. But Algeria was kept supplying steady supplies of natural gas to its partners in the European market, especially. And by the way, as you said, Algeria at the moment is ensuring more than 12% of the European needs in kind of natural gas, and approximately 20% of the European imported pipeline natural gas is coming from Algeria. Yes, Algeria is connected to Italy through Transmed, the capacity of that pipeline can reach 35 BCM. The second one is Medgas, which is connected to Spain. Its capacity can exceed 10.5 BCM. So this, we're talking about the capacity at the moment. But if we look at the Algerian potential, it's huge. It's more than that. More than, let's say, 55% of the Algerian exports go through pipelines. But we have to say that a big share of Algerian exports go through LNG. And if we talk about LNG, this is the options for LNG. You can export to Europe. We have clients from Italy, from Spain, from France, from Turkey. And by the way, the Turkish Botas is the largest importer of Algerian LNG. So Algeria has, at the moment, is investing also a lot in LNG terminals to increase that capacity and to reach the countries they are not really close to us. As you know, we know that Algeria is exporting its pipeline natural gas to Spain and Italy, but that option is not the same. We cannot make it possible, for example, with the countries of the north. So that's why diversification of supplies is a key for a national oil company here, as to strengthen cooperation and to reach many countries, the natural gas to other countries. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's numbers like $60 billion euro investment in Algeria to develop further, basically, the capabilities. I mean, LNG is part of it, but there's also another bigger pipeline that connects Algeria to a big part of rest of Africa, basically being sort of agreed on. Plans still needs to be finalized. How will that sort of add to the whole picture?
Oh yeah, Algeria at the moment's policy at the moment is diversification to supply different kind of energy. We have natural gas, we have oil, and we have renewable energies. And not only that, we have the option also that Algeria at the moment is working to be a hub in North Africa. So bringing natural gas, there is a huge project we are talking a lot at the moment, which is TSGP, Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline, which is a huge project. It's land with exceeding 4,130 kilometers. It's coming from Nigeria, passing to Niger, Algeria, to the south of Algeria. It will be connected in the south of Algeria. As you know, the south of Algeria is connected directly to Europe through Spain and Italy. So just that's the good thing in this project, is we bring that pipeline from southern African countries, we connect it to the Algerian south, and it's directly, molecules will be compressed and will be reaching European Union. So this is a very promising project. Its capacity coverage 30 BCM, but we talk about 20 BCM. And this is very great project for African countries, for Algeria, and even for European countries.
It's nearly adding 50% or nearly doubling actually then the potential output of Algeria when this is coming, gas is coming through. So that goes basically also through pipelines. Is there maybe a plan for an additional pipeline to Europe, or will that all go to the LNG hubs and be marketed in that way?
Yeah, I mean, a week ago, energy ministers of Algeria, Nigeria, they approved a project feasibility study. They approved it. Now it's under, they will finalize it and they will choose the options. So if we talk about the capabilities and the capacities we have in pipelines, we have like 35 BCM. And they are like, we are using like 80% of that capacity or 75. If we bring that natural gas from Nigeria, I think that we have option to build a new pipeline or to use LNG terminals. So these both options, yeah. And the second thing is Algeria is investing more than $60 billion. 75% is going to EP, exploration and production. So if by 2030, Algeria will increase its production with natural gas coming from Nigeria, this will be a necessity to build a new pipeline or at least increase the share of LNG exports.
Yeah.
And this is also a good option.
Yeah. So yeah, these are significant numbers actually. Despite that there might be a slowdown in the overall gas demand of Europe, yeah, from a bit more than 300 to around 300 BCM or something like this. Still, there's significant amounts of gas needed, and the diversification of these supplies is, of course, in the last months and years always in the focus. Also, as I guess security of supply will play a major role. But Algeria has also other options or cards to play. I mean, it's a vast country, and it's only 2 hours flight south from Germany, basically. It's always amazing to have that connection. But then on the other hand, it's vast and it has a great potential to build renewable energy and all the other products that might come out of that. So exporting power. And I guess there's also discussion on dealing with hydrogen and generating and supplying hydrogen for whoever needs it. How is that looking at the moment?
Yeah, to be honest with you, Algeria wants to keep a good relationship with its partners, European partners. So more than that, Algeria is a trusted supplier of natural gas to European markets. Europeans at the moment, especially after the announcement of, let's say, the war in Ukraine, they launched a program which was called Repower Europe. Repower Europe, it means that they wanted to phase out the Russian natural gas and replace it with renewable energies, electrification, and diversification of suppliers. So this is the new policy in the European Union. So now Algeria is adapting its policy also through this strategy of Europeans. So the European market now, they are looking for more renewables, more electrification. That's why Algeria launched a program, a national program, to produce 15 gigawatts of electricity from renewable energies. We have already built 3 gigawatts. And we are launching 12 gigawatts in upcoming months. Yeah. This 15 gigawatts will really help a lot. And many people, they ask me why you develop renewables and you have natural gas. My answer was all the time quite simple. If we develop renewable energies, we participate to decrease the carbon footprint, and which is really an obstacle for us to export our products to the European Union. So we have to reduce carbon footprint. And the second thing is that will allow us to, let's say, save natural gas for the petrochemistry in the country. So it's like valorization of natural gas. Yes. So if we talk about renewables, Algeria now is in advanced negotiations with European partners, especially Germany, Austria, Italy, about a huge, big project, which is called South H2 Corridor. South H2 Corridor is a big, promising project, which is focused to produce green hydrogen in Algeria from solar energy, wind energy, and to export that electricity through hydrogen by producing green hydrogen. So if we talk about numbers, Europeans are planning to let's say to have like 10 million to produce, to have 10 million tons of hydrogen by 2030, 2035. South H2 Corridor will provide for MTPA. It means 40% of that capacity it needs by Europeans. So that project is very promising. But what we have at the moment in the hydrogen business, we may face some technical issues, pipe embrittlements. We face like, how is it doable? How is it sustainable? And it's about also the end user. If we have the buyers who will take this hydrogen, green hydrogen with this price. So the problem we may face at the moment is also with the European companies. Are they ready? If the European companies are ready to buy the kilogram of green hydrogen with these prices in the market. So I think this is what we are talking about now, and we talk about the future. Who is the end user? Is he ready to take that hydrogen? And who are the investors? Because it's a huge project, and we have to collaborate, because Algeria national companies, they cannot really invest alone in this project. They need to have different cooperation, certain that cooperation with the European partners, but because it's a win-win project.
Well, I think it will remain a bit of a challenging situation with this hen and egg. So because do you need customers for the hydrogen, but at the same time, you need them to start, but they also need a certain price. And then there's the infrastructure component, which is also significant. These are scales that are difficult to match at the moment, specifically also as European or German, for example, steel industries stepped back from green hydrogen for the moment. The whole debate needs to be reactivated. It's a bit of a readjustment still ongoing in that market. But Algeria, as you mentioned, is very well positioned. And that's what we in Europe, I think, often miss as an opportunity. We have the wish and potentially also the money to invest, but we have so much already built infrastructure and overlapping interest areas. It's very difficult to place gigantic hydrogen plants in the landscape. Spain maybe has a little bit more, but Algeria is very close and has wide open spaces basically in order to generate the energy for hydrogen. And all these elements combined together could lead, I guess, to a competitive price on the market. We will have to see how that plays out in the end. But what is then the time horizon for example, these renewable projects? What is the sort of the wish or the ambition of the Algerian government and the Algerian companies, that if they sort of can implement, in what time frame? Are they just simply ready, or will it take 5, 10, 15 years until these projects might be a reality?
Yeah, I think it will depend on the feasibility study, because that will be, there is a big deep discussion between Algeria, Tunisia, also it will pass through Tunisia, Italy, Austria, and Germany. So discussing the feasibility project feasibility study, who will finance it.
Yeah.
So they have to discuss, they have to agree about this. And time they will reach an agreement, and they see it's profitable for the European companies to get this green hydrogen from Algeria. At that time, I think when they approve it, they have to start building a pipe, because many people talk about repurposing existing natural gas. This is option, but for me, if we talk about TSCP, if we talk about the investment Algeria has launched at the moment, so those pipelines we have now, they will be not enough to transport even natural gas. So how can we, if we get natural gas from Nigeria, so we'll have full capacity in pipelines. So we have LNG option is for maybe TSCP, but for green hydrogen, I think, in my opinion, as a technical expert, also maybe many of they don't know that I work really in the technical side. So technically, I think the best option is to build a new pipeline for green hydrogen, because repurposing natural gas pipelines, it has a risk. Because if you talk about Italians or Spanish, they say, we need natural gas. Please don't touch our pipelines. We are in crisis. We are facing a problem of spiking prices for natural gas from they are getting from different clients. So they say, please keep those pipes safe, at least, and we build a new one. So I think I pushed for this option. Feasibility study for me is feasibility study for a new pipeline. It will be an independent pipeline, and I think if approved, I don't know, it will depend to the companies will be involved, and it will depend also on the, not saying the finance and who will finance this project. Yeah. If they are able to finance it in 3 years or 5 years or 7 years, so it will all of these options will be discussed in the feasibility study, I think.
So it needs thorough commitment and the will to collaborate to make this work. That's what I understand.
Yeah, exactly. So it will depend on discussions between these developed countries.
I mean, it's still a nice idea because, I mean, still for Algeria, you're basically still on a quite big, comfortable cushion of hydrocarbons for dealing with all demands that yourself you had, and everything else around you is actually a business opportunity where you can basically select what works best for you. That's a very comfortable situation at the moment for Algeria. I mean, so the future should actually be seen very positive. From your perspective also, I mean, I guess the younger generations, people who are attending university, coming out of university, taking new jobs, they will also have the opportunity to learn and grow into these new jobs, away from the oil and gas industry. And I mean, during my visit there, I had the opportunity to meet few of them, and it's quite encouraging and nice to talk to them. They're very curious and knowledgeable people. It was a pleasure actually to meet all of them. And yeah, let's see how this develops further. I mean, this is a bit of a glimpse of an insight that we have at the moment. We could also talk lengthy about carbon border mechanisms and strategies there. Also, Algeria has a bit of an experience actually in storing carbon from projects in the past, together with BP. Yeah, with BP and Equinor.
It was pioneer project.
Yes, I was amazed to see that actually. However, it had been concluded for whatever reasons were then. But it's also something for the very late future, I guess, to think about even storing carbon in outproduced old gas and oil fields in Algeria. For the Central European perspective, it might be a bit of a stretch, but you never know what develops because, we have plans for shipping CO2 into the North Sea. We could also ship it from somewhere else into a different direction as well. But I guess it's not really a plan in Algeria at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you allow me to add two things. If we talk about decarbonization projects in Algeria, I think good option for Algeria, it has already depleted wells. Depleted wells that could be an option for us to store carbon. But the good thing for Algeria also in depleted wells, we can rely on CO2 for enhanced oil recovery. So we can use the captured carbon CO2 to absorb it from the atmosphere, and we can inject it in the reservoirs for natural gas, and we can increase our production. Let's say we can increase our recovery of natural gas. That is a good thing for us. The second good thing is if we talk about the renewable energies. From this tribune, I call the German companies to invest in renewable energies in Algeria. Why? Because German companies are enough that they have the expertise and they have the know-how in renewable energies. The good plan in Algeria is if they invest in renewables in Algeria, they will bring an added value to the local market, but they will allow, because developing renewables in Algeria will allow us to save more natural gas. That natural gas could be taken by German company like Uniper. So this is a win. You win twice. You invest in renewables, you generate a revenue, and you can save natural gas for Algeria because we replace our power generation with renewables. That saved natural gas could be taken by Uniper, for example, which is struggling and grappling the global market to find more volumes of natural gas. Yeah. And this is a thing that could be option that could work in the future in the high level.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect example how so a win-win could work out in the end. If I ask you a last very simple question, so Choeib, what is your wish? How would you like to see things develop into the future?
I'm very optimistic about the future. To answer to this question, I remember what happened to the Europeans in 2022 and the troubles they happened there about soaring prices of energy, and companies over there are still paying the bill expensively till now. What happened in the Strait of Hormuz, And Qatar Energy, for example, was supplying like 15 BCM of natural gas to European markets. So now it's over those volumes. So I'm optimistic because Algeria, even those issues happened with Ukraine, the Middle East, everything, what happened, Algerian supplies were all the time steady. So the learned lesson is to call the European companies to invest in Algeria because it's very close to the European market. And we don't have waterways. We don't have those waterways or any troubles that can make
bottlenecks,
problems. Yeah. Exactly. So it's open. Algeria is an open Mediterranean Sea. It's very open. So there is minimum risk compared to other regions. And we don't blackmail. I mean, we don't blackmail when you have problems. Yeah. And this is why I think I'm very optimistic for Algerian development of hydrocarbons, renewables, and even for our partners in Europe.
Thanks, Choeib. I mean, it was an exciting discussion for me, and I'm looking forward to talk to you in the future on many occasions again. Thank you for being part of our little podcast, and all the best for the future.
Thank you very much. It was really my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we thank you for dialing in today's episode.
I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. Maybe it gave you something to think about. Maybe you agree, you disagree. Let us know.
If you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to share it with your friends or colleagues or tag us on social media.
You can find us on MND Consult. That is mnd-consult.com.
And if you have a topic you would like us to unpack or a story you would like to share, feel free to reach out.
So take care and remember,
Shift happens.